I'm just about to blurt out that I'm going to resign from the White House. And he said, do you mind if I go first? And I sat back and he said, the president would like to announce you as the new press secretary on Friday. And I said, great.
There's a steadiness you notice in some people, the kind of calm that doesn't show up in headlines, but that quietly holds a room together. Dana Perino's voice has been that steadiness for a nation, measured, direct, and somehow comfortingly human. But the woman you see calmly answering cameras and shaping debates wasn't born with that composure. She was forged in weather that asks more of you than you feel ready to give. Born in Evanston, Wyoming on May 9th, 1972. Dana's life began under wide, indifferent skies and the slow, patient grind of Middle America. Picture a little girl whose playground was High Plains and who learned early that work matters more than applause. Her family moved to Denver, where nights were spent with early radio shifts and mornings with classes, not the carefree college life stories often tell. That illustrated children's Bible she loved as a child vanished in a move, and years later, when a viewer mailed her the same edition, she wept on camera. That moment wasn't about a book. It was about the thin seams holding memory and identity together. The public persona is polished. The private one is stitched with those old hurts. She climbed the ladder the hard way. Colorado State University Pueblo, a master's in public affairs reporting, long shifts at a PBS affiliate and a radio station where she learned to fill dead air with authority. These late nights taught her how to be steady when no one was watching. Those early jobs don't make great blurbs, but they make character. They prepare you for a phone that rings at 3 a.m. with a crisis that will define a city, a country, or the course of history. Then came Washington, a gilded town that eats hope for breakfast and offers reinvention at lunch. Dana arrived without pedigree, but with something rarer, a spine of grit. She started inside the White House ecosystem in 2002 with the Council on Environmental Quality. And by 2005, she was deputy press secretary, learning to answer questions that were traps dressed as curiosity. When Tony Snow left for health reasons, she stepped into a role that would test every lesson she learned in the night shifts and the empty studios. By September 2007, President George W. Bush had chosen her as White House press secretary, a position she held until the end of the administration. In January 2009, she learned to stand in a room of dozens of reporters and keep her cool when the world wanted to panic. George W. Bush, White House Archives. Behind every confident brief was mentorship and painful lessons. Tony Snow, the man who taught her to breathe into the microphone and shape a nation's calm, became her teacher, and in time, her measure of courage. When Snow fell ill with cancer, the classroom ended in hospital halls and private grief. He died in 2008, and Dana had to carry the weight of composure in his absence while carrying grief inside her ribs. The audience saw the steady voice. The private notebooks kept the tremors. There is a myth about people in power, that they are insulated from small human tragedies. Dana's life contradicts that myth at every turn. She married Peter McMahon after meeting him on a flight in 1997, a man older, worldlier, and already carrying a life of his own. They married in 1998. The partnership would give her steadiness when Washington was stormy, and teach her that sacrifice often looks like choosing someone who will lift the pieces when you cannot. Their relationship has been a private counterpoint to her public career, steady, devoted, and not defined by spectacle. When the country demanded clarity, Dana delivered. When the country needed distractions, soothed, or explanations held up to the light, she gave it. The press room is a theater of tension. Microphones like accusatory fingers, lighting that reveals every line, questions that want to pry free the human beneath the spokesperson. She learned to be tough without losing tenderness. That balance turned her into a trusted figure for millions of Americans, and later landed her a prominent role at Fox News, where she became one of the network's calmest, most persuasive faces. But steadiness does not erase the private ledger of small losses. The nights that went unpaid by closings, the friends missed while deadlines screamed. The childless hush in a home that chose career and service over diapers and nursery rhymes. She never framed it as regret. Dana speaks about choices with the clarity of someone who counted the costs before she accepted the price. But you can see it in the way she treasures small rituals now. The dogs that filled a house with noise and warmth, the quiet dinners with Peter, the slow walks on the Jersey shoreline, where time feels soft enough to breathe. The life she built in Batehead is not about ostentation. It is about having a place that stays put, a final stop after decades of moves. It is a refuge that answers to memory and to the quiet, everyday needs of a life lived hard. And there have been public ruptures too, moments the cameras won't let you soften. The glare of national tragedy, the shoe throw in Baghdad that ended with a microphone stand grazing her eye, details that make the job feel dangerously close to physical risk. Yet she consistently chose to be present, not to cower from the glare. She took the work because someone had to say the truth plainly and calmly when truth was messy and loud. What makes Dana Perino interesting, and why your parents, your neighbors, or your aunt might feel drawn to a story about her, is that she embodies a kind of old-fashioned competence. She doesn't perform vulnerability for likes. She earned her authority in quiet rooms and on the back end of hardship. Her persona is not built on spectacle, but on steady, relentless competence. The people who grew up with civic duty etched into their bones recognize something in her. Someone who does what needs doing, even when the applause is small and the nights are long. If you watch her now on morning shows or late panels, you will see a woman who has carried the country's drama on her shoulders and brought it home as lessons, not trophies. She mentors young journalists. She writes books that say plainly what she wishes someone had told her, and she gives back quietly through causes she cares about. The broadcasts are the loud thing. The real work is in the quiet guidance and the small daily acts that make a life worth living. So when you see the composed figure behind the lectern or on your television, remember, she is the product of Wyoming wind, Denver grit, long radio nights, mentorship under fire, and a marriage that chose patience over headlines. She is the reminder that authority can be kind and that resilience is not a show. It is the quiet extension of one breath after another. Tell me which part of Dana Perino's journey hits you hardest. The child who found solace in a lost Bible? The woman who learned steadiness in the cold plains? The press secretary who kept her cool while carrying private grief? Drop your thoughts below. If you want more stories like this, names, faces, and the private pains behind public triumphs, like and follow. We'll keep bringing you the human truth behind the people you think you know.